Hello everybody. In today's video, I want to talk about one new character patches. I believe I've already made a video on this before, however now it seems like it's truly something that's going to become more commonplace. Now for those not really in the know, maybe you're fresher to this game, you wouldn't exactly understand what I'm saying. It wasn't until HSR 2.6 that this game actually released its first ever patch without two new limited 5 stars, being Rappa as the sole limited 5 star to release in that patch. Back then, I thought it was personally a good thing because constantly having two new limited 5 stars per patch not only more rapidly increases the power creep because you're constantly releasing more and more characters faster. However, it also puts a little bit more stress on the player base because there could be two incredibly good characters for teams they already own on their account, and then they're stressing about which one is actually more worth it to pull, and if they lose the 50-50, oh, when's the rerun gonna come, so on and so on, right? Unfortunately though, after 2.6, it did not become a common thing for patches like this to occur again until much later near the end of version 3 with 3.7. 3.7 was Cyrene's patch. This was the second time that there was only one new limited character on the patch, and then I thought, maybe this is just going to be a Rappa patch exception. It's not going to actually become a common thing, just like last time when I put my hopes up. But I think it's pretty safe to say at this point it is basically a common thing, because not only 3.7, but 3.8, 4.1, and 4.3 have all been only one new character patches. And even 3.6, to a specific extent, you could also kind of give them a bit of leeway, since they did give Dan Heng for free, meaning a majority of people weren't even thinking of pulling Dan Heng since they already got him, and they were really only thinking about the value of Evernight, right? So there's been like 5 patches in the last year in which you wouldn't have to feel stressed about two new limited characters releasing on the exact same patch. However, not only this, I believe the average pulls per patch for HSR, although ever so slightly, has been increasing because of them adding more modes, adding more permanent endgame content, stuff like that. Of course, QOL is increasing. However, also, the golden token shop is increasing in value as well, with now there being a few decent choices. You have Robin and her Eidolons, you have Huo, who on Pridewin is actually the best performing sustain in the game for players currently. You have Ruan Mei. She's not as valuable as she used to be, but at the end of the day she's a generalist, so you can't really go wrong, right? You have Nova Welt. This guy is getting all the glaze these days by zero cyclers because of how good he is cost wise, right? And then you have Topaz. Now, Topaz isn't anything special right now, but the reason I mentioned Topaz is because it has been leaked that she should be in the next Nova batch next to Sunday and a couple others, right? So the golden token shop may increase in value then as well. So not only has the free 5-star releases become much better and much more consistent over time, but the same applies to single new character patches. I just wanted to know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments of if you enjoy single character patches or not. The only thing I can see kind of being a downside for one new character patches is usually one new character patches end up being quite dry, right? Like, yes, you have a lot more time to save, thankfully, because there's only one new character and it makes it easier to skip. However, it has been kind of a common occurrence at this point that all one new character patches are very dry, and the only exception to this I believe was Cyrene's, and that was mainly because Cyrene's was just kind of a celebration slash ending for the Amphoria storyline, right? So that's why that patch still got a bit of love. But outside of Cyrene's case, every other solo patch character has had an incredibly dry patch in terms of content, in terms of events, and sometimes it's just been so boring. Like currently, I see it a lot on social media right now where people are like, oh, can't this patch just end already? Because they find it just kind of really boring for them, as it feels like not much has really happened outside of just getting the story. We did get 2 events, but this one's incredibly short and boring, and this one is long and boring. It's legit full auto. You don't even need to use your brain for this. So a lot of people have been disappointed in that. I wish, best case scenario, that they could treat these solo character patches as normal patches content wise. However, unfortunately, that seems to be the one thing kinda weighing down how good these patches can be for the average player. However, outside of this specifically, which in my opinion, I don't care about it all that much. I always get slack for this whenever I talk about it on stream because people think I'm defending HSR, but I'm just older, right? I'm also someone who plays on multiple accounts, so I can play with a ton of different DPSs and teams without needing to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on a single account in order to accomplish that. So when you're playing multiple accounts and you have to repeatedly do the same events and the same story every single patch multiple times, I do have to say I am someone who's happier that there isn't so much content and so many things that I need to do and such fast endgame weekly resets, because if not, I'd probably get burnt out like 10 times as fast, right? But I do understand the majority of people who play gacha games don't play multiple accounts. They probably only have one, and they might even play multiple gachas, but usually only one account across all of them. So they wouldn't actually have the issue I have, since technically I am playing the game like 2 to 3 times more than a regular player with just one account, right? But outside of this, I just think solo character patches are absolutely goated. It has made it so much easier to save for certain teams and for certain characters in comparison to before. Like, constantly having 2 new limited 5 stars per patch, every patch, year after year, there's no break, constant releases. It really starts to become quite frustrating. Even if you fully understand that you're not supposed to be able to pull 2 new limited characters every patch, it sometimes just gets kind of frustrating because like these 2 characters could be that good for your account specifically, depending on the characters that you have, or they're just that good generally. Best examples being things like Tribby and as well as Blade, right? But you can't get them because there's another character who's on here who you also need, and you might need to prioritize more over the other. But this just doesn't really apply anymore, in my opinion. Them leaning more so on single patch or single character patches has been a blessing. Like, no joke. I consider this a massive, massive blessing with the different way they've decided to do patches now. It's nice to see them experimenting. I've noticed this. It feels like ever since midway through version 3, or actually no, since Castrus's anniversary, the HSR devs, in my opinion, have become a lot more experimentative in terms of how they want to do certain things in the game, how they want to sell certain characters, yada yada yada. They've become a lot more bold in trying to change the norms that a lot of people were already used to in the first 2 years of HSR, which makes me happy, right? Because even if it goes wrong, hopefully, of course, they can obviously make up for it. But if it goes right, like with this, in my opinion, it massively benefits the actual player, which you just have to appreciate, right? So that's my opinion on solo character patches. In my opinion, for the average player, they could use more content like most 2 new limited release patches, as they tend to be the most dry in terms of content of all patches. However, they're absolutely amazing in terms of helping the average player save their pulls and not get too overwhelmed with FOMO because of constantly releasing 2 limited characters every patch. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you have a great night. I am dying. Oh, I shouldn't include this in the video, but my god, I had to turn off my fan because if my fan is on while I'm making a video, the amount of interference in the mic would be just abhorrent. You guys would hate even having to listen to this video. I'm going to turn it straight back on now that I end this video because I am just sweating all over. I can't wait for winter. People who prefer summer over winter, oh my, delusional. Nothing but delusion. Have a great day. Have a great night. Peace out.